Good morning. PPT is visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we have begun with module 3 and we have given introduction regarding this key management. So we have introduced that so key management is related to generation, storage, distribution, and even backup of keys, especially in public key and private key pairs. So that is what we have described. And so also that so public key pairs will be used for encryption, decryption, signature generation, verification, and even for authentication. So in the previous module specifically, we have seen signature generation and even verification and how authentication takes place. Because two communicating parties like A and B will be involved in the communication. So to encrypt a session key, right? So because public key specifically, we have said, so might be public key will be very costly to use it for encrypting data. So specifically it will be used to encrypt a session key and share it with the other party, so that when the session key is shared between both the parties, so session key will be used for a particular amount of session for a particular amount of time to exchange data. Okay, so you can encrypt the session key. You can encrypt the data using the session key and exchange the data between the two communicating parties. And even to verify the B signature on a message, so A needs B's public key. But so we have stopped here. But how does A knows B's public key? So that is the question again, right? So that is what that we have stopped here. So let us move on to the next slide and see the cases here. So here are two communicating parties, so A and B. So A may frequently communicate with B in a secure way. So that is the basic understanding. So A and B are communicating. And the next diagram, see here, every entity's public key is securely maintained in a centralized directory. So because we are addressing the question that how does A knows B's public key? So therefore, what we say is here, every entities means, so we talk about users, so either A or B. So now we refer to A and B as entities. So every entity's public key. So because A will share its public key, its pair of keys, the public and private key pair. So B also will be having its public and private key pair. Okay. So every entity's public key is securely maintained in a centralized directory. So A's and B's public key will be stored in the centralized directory here. Okay. So this is the centralized repository or directory which we call. So A's and B's public key will be stored in the centralized directory. Okay. Have you understood the concept here? So please reply.
Yes, sir.
Okay then. So A receives a document signed by trusted source C containing B's public key. So from the trusted source, right? So you can assume C as the trusted source. So A will receive a document signed by the trusted source. So like you can assume this as some government organization on which you can have a trust. So A and B both will trust the government organization C. So A will receive a document signed by trusted source C. So C will put some signature on the particular document, so containing B's public key. So C will send a copy of the particular B's public key by putting signature and send it to A. So therefore A can trust on receiving the B's public key from this trusted source C. Okay. So now when A will receive B's public key from the trusted source C, so A is then so believing that, so yes, of course, somebody else or some third person is not sending so B's public key. So A can trust the trusted source, and so A will get the particular B's public key because it is sent from the trusted source. So likewise, if B gets a public key of A from trusted source C, so B will be ensured that it is from the trusted source, it is getting the A's public key. Okay, understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay then, so let us move forward. So that is the concept there, how actually to get the or how to retrieve the public keys. So therefore we have answered this question. So how does A knows B's public key? So if there is a question on so how an entity will get So so specifically if asked, how does A knows B is public key? So you might have to write this diagram and explain the concept so you have a trusted source. So therefore the trusted source is going to distribute so public keys of entities. Okay. So next comes the concept of digital certificates. Okay. So we have seen the concept of digital signatures while writing a diagram there. So here it is the concept of digital certificates. Okay. So under this, we specifically go through what actually is the certificate types. And we have even also defined what actually is a, so digital signature, right? So here let us define digital certificate. So a digital certificate is a signed document. So used to bind a public key to identify or to the identity of a person. Okay, specifically, so it proves the identity of a person. So a digital certificate is a signed document. Okay, so it is a signed document used to bind a public key. So here it is this is important. So to bind, you are binding a public key to the identity of a person. So now what is identity, right? So identity, like you have a driving license, or so you might have some identity of identity issued by a college, right? So that may prove his identity, like Aadhaar card or something like that, right? Or PAN card or something. So identity could be his, her name, so national identification number, email, or postal address, etc., or some combination of these. So that you call it as an identity. Okay. So the identity that issues digital certificates is a trusted entity called certification authority. Okay. So some authority is there, like the government authority or some third party authority. So who are going to issue these certificates, and that authority is called as a certification authority, right? So hence, in short, it is called as CA, certification authority. So these CAs or certification authority are often selected government agencies or banks. Okay, so where you can trust them or where you can have a belief on them. So those are called as certification authorities. And the certificates may be issued to individuals, organizations, or even to servers. So these certifications will be issued to the individuals. So individuals can get a certificate from them, or even organizations can also have an access to them, or even they may be issued to servers also. Okay. So did you understand what actually is a certification authority? So it is like a government, right? Some government authority who are going to distribute digital certificates. Okay. So like you have a KSRTC, so you can receive a bus pass for a month, and it is a certificate. It is valid for 1 month, right? So nobody can question that. So because it is having its own seal, so you have provided your name, you have provided your what say Aadhaar number or something like that. So therefore it is certified. It has put its seal and given you, right? It is valid for 1 month. So that is a certificate issued by the government authority like KSRTC, right? Is it clear? Are you understanding?
Yes, sir.
See, if you have any doubts, you can ask, please. See, there are 7 and nobody wants to respond. Is it okay? Have you any doubts?
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Darshan, please call me after the class immediately. Darshan, are you listening, Darshan? Darshan K. So then you have types of certificates. The basic one, first is of the type the basic. So which can be applied through email by submitting his name, email address, public key, etc. So you can obtain a basic type of a certificate. Okay. So here the certificate authority does not need verification of credentials from the applicant and assumes that applicant has the corresponding private key. Okay. So if you just submit your public key, like your name and email address and the public key, your certificate will be given. So extra additional verification will not be needed at all, right? So the certificate will just assume that the party has the private key, and so directly certificate will be given, right? So these are trust at your own risk certificates. Okay, so that is the given name here because it is of basic type. So trust at your own risk certificates, and it will be applicable only for applicants with least demand on security. So here security issue is a very least concern. So that's why it will be applicable only for applications with least demand on security. So next you have secured one. So where applicant identity is verified, right? It's a strict verification is going on here, usually done by the registration authority, so called as RA, right? Like so all your mass cards will be verified. So before, like you want to have a something like a CET seat, so all your mass cards, 10th, so second PUC, right? So all those will be verified there. Okay, so such is the type of verification done. So which is a secured one, right? So here it checks the possession of a private key by sending the applicant a string encrypted using public key sent to the CA, okay, certification authority. So here, so in the first one, so it is assumed that private key is present, but here, so the private key in the second one, secure type, so the private key is checked there. Okay, so that is the second type. So price of such certificate is higher, but can be used for more security demanding applications. So here the price is higher to obtain a certificate, but so it is of more security for demanding applications, like for banking transactions or so. Okay, so that is the secured one. So those are the two types. So types of certificate, basic and secured. Okay, so you understand the difference between those? Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So then you have the X509 digital certificate format. So this is one of the type of certificate, so called as X509. So it has a name called as X509. So this is the digital certificate format. So it has a specific format. So this is very important. It is almost every time asked here. So which is very well known as the X509 digital certificate format. So it has the following format. It has the following contents. So the X509 is an ITU, so International Telecommunication Union standard, and specifying the format for public key certificates. So this applies to the format for public key certificates. You should remember this. So it has certain fields. The fields are as follows. So first is the certificate serial number and version. Okay. So it has the certificate serial number, and because so there are thousands and thousands of certificate issued. So a certificate must have a serial number and what type of version it is, right? So then the issuer information, like who has issued it. So the name, the email, the organization, and the country, etc. And the subject information must be there. One example we will see. Then subjects public key information will be there. Like, so what is the public key? So which algorithm will be used for encryption, like RSA? And so the public key parameters will be mentioned, like so modulus, generator. So what are the values specifically used there? And the validity period. So for what amount of time, right? So like starting date and end date specifically. So because certificates so cannot be used for infinity. That means you cannot use certificate for over a very long period of time. So they may be issued for specific dates, right, or specific period. So which will have a start date and end date. So after the end date, certificate will be invalid. So you cannot use the certificate after the end date, and you cannot even use the certificate before the start date also. So for a specific period of time, certificates are issued which will have a start date and the end date. Okay. So then a certificate signature will be there, and associated signing algorithm information will also be present. Okay. So these are the contents. These are the fields which we call. So they will be present as part of the format for the public key certificates. And if it has is these of the following, then it is called as a X509 digital certificate format. So very important question. So you should remember this. Are you noting down? Are you noting down?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Make it fast. ಪ್ರಜ್ವಲ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆಯೇನಪ್ಪ ಪ್ರಜ್ವಲ್? ಪ್ರಜ್ವಲ್
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ನಂಬರ್ ಫಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡಪ್ಪ ನಂಗೆ ವಾಟ್ಸ್ಆಪ್ಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ.
Okay, sir.
ಬರ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರಾ? ಆಯ್ತಾ? So are you understanding the concepts or are you facing any difficulty? How was the first test? How did you perform in the first test?
Good, sir.
Only good, not better?
Good, sir. Good.
Only good, not better.
Middle, sir. Both good and better.
Good and better. Combination of both. Good and better is best. So just observe the previous question papers. So download 5 to 6 question papers. So just see how the questions occur. So which questions have been repeated more times? Okay, shall we move further? Have you noted down?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so look at this diagram or format. So X509, so just observe. Okay, no need to note down. So look at the X509 format here. So this is the certificate. So data is given, version is present, version 1. I said your serial number is there like 3174. And so signature algorithm, right? So RSA encryption algorithm is used. So issuer who has issued, right? So it is given here, specified. Like, so the name is specified and so email also is given there. Validity, see here. So the certificate is not valid, not before January. You cannot use it before January 1st. And time is also mentioned there. Okay, 2010. So January 1st, 10 ಗಂಟೆಗಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆನೂ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. And not after December 31st, 10 p.m. GMT. Okay, 2010. So it's only valid for 1 year. Okay, so for January 2010 to December 2010. You cannot use it before 2009, 31st 2009, 10 ಇದು 31st ಡಿಸೆಂಬರ್ಗಿಂತನೂ 31st ಡಿಸೆಂಬರ್ಗೂ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ. Then January 2011ಗೂ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ. Okay, not valid before and not valid after. So subject ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. Subject public key information ಇದೆ. Public key algorithm RSA encryption, RSA public key. So RSA public key ನೋಡಿ, length 102 bits ಇದೆ. So modulus ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೋನೆಂಟ್, ಸಿಗ್ನೇಚರ್ ಆಲ್ಗರಿದಮ್, ಸೊ RSA encryption ಈ ತರ ಇದೆ ಫಾರ್ಮೆಟ್. So this will be the format of X509 digital signature certificate. Okay. So just for the sake of understanding how the format is, but you have to remember this. You have to write this. So is an example. You may write or not. You can associate with the diagram if you can remember all the things. But so this format should be written. Very important. Okay. So the ನೆನಪಿದ್ರೆ ಬರೀರಿ example ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. That's well and good. But so this is more important. Certificate format. Okay. So next concept. Shall we go through digital certificate in action? So to transmit session key generated by A to B, so A needs B's certificate. Okay. So now till now we are just saying A and B will communicate. Okay. So A will directly communicate with B, B will directly communicate with A, right? So now, because there is a certificate involved, so the communication will change a little bit. Okay. So the context is that to transmit session key generated by A to B, so A needs B certificate. Okay. In the previous section, so we have seen how session keys are exchanged using public key. Now there is a certificate involved. So to transmit session key generated by A, right? And so A must send session key to B. So what A needs? B certificate. Okay. So A will require B certificate. Now, so see the next line. A may already have B certificate or B may send to A on request. Okay. But so A must have B certificate to send the session key. So that is the requirement. Okay. So now A has to perform a number of checks on B certificate prior to using B certificate. Okay. So because A must trust that whatever the certificate that has been received by B, so whether the certificate is valid or not. Okay. So that is the context there. So look at the following points 1, 2, and 3. So is this indeed B certificate? So idu B de certificate anta check ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. So ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು? So checks name, so URL, email ID, etc. So ಅದೆಲ್ಲ basic step of authentication. Okay. So that is the first thing. Then is the certificate still valid? So like just now we have seen, you cannot use before it start date to end date ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರುತ್ತೆ. So ಅದನ್ನ mail, email ID, name ಎಲ್ಲ ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ಮೇಲೆ so checks the validity of the certificate, whether it is still valid or not. So checks validity field. So start date, end date. So ಅದರಲ್ಲೇ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ whether the certificate is still valid or not. So then third one is the certificate sent by CA or RA. So because so in the diagram we have seen in this document, so this trusted source will issue certificates to A and B. Okay. So avaga that particular certificate could be checked whether it is the certificate signed by the CA or the RA. So CA means certificate authority or RA means registration authority. So check signature of IA. So on that certificate, so it should have a government seal, right? So certificate authority or the registration authority have been signed. So then that becomes a valid certificate. So requires CS public key for signature verification. Okay. So this part we have seen how signatures are verified in the previous discussion. So it requires CS public key for signature verification. So once all of these have been done, now CA will is definite that so whatever the certificate required by B, yes, that certificate is valid and that certificate is issued by the certification authority or registration authority. So now I am able to, or I am sure that the certificate is valid. So I can send a session key to B, right? Or I can send the session key to, I can transmit the session key to B. So that is how, so A is guaranteed that, so the session, the certificate of B is valid. Clear? Is it okay? Any doubts there? Say something. Is it okay?
No, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so that is the concept on how we actually so verify on the certificates. So next you have the concept of public key infrastructure. So in short, it is called as PKI. So that is public key infrastructure. So you have to build an infrastructure, so which will involve so the communicating entities and the certificate authorities or even the registration authorities and so on. So that infrastructure is called as the public key infrastructure itself. Okay. So to define a public key infrastructure, in short called as PKI, so that includes the CAs, that is the certification authorities. So it is not that only one certificate authority will be there. So more than one certificate authorities can be involved. Okay. So then physical infrastructure, right? So that is encryption technologies, whatever you have like RSA, DSA, whatever, and the hardware also, right? So etc. And the formulation and enforcement of policies and procedures. So till now we have been talking about only the sender and the receiver, okay, and the keys involved. And if it is a private key, only secret key will be there. And if it's public key, a public key pair will be there, so private key and public key, only that much. Okay. So, but also you have to involve formulation and enforcement of policies and procedures also. Okay. So all this in total will be called as a public key infrastructure. Okay. So now let us look at what are the functions of PKI, right? So following are the functions of public key infrastructure. So one is the certificate creation. Okay, of course. So just now we have looked at how the certificate authority will actually create a particular certificate, and we have looked at X509 structure also, right? The issuance, how issuance means how it is going to give the certificate, the storage and archival, right? So this the definition itself we have seen. So it is going to create, it is going to distribute, it is going to store, right? And even archival of the particular certificate. Then, so the key generation and key escrow, if necessary, we will going to see discuss each point, and the certificate and key updation if necessary, and certificate revocation. So revocation means taking back. So in what conditions certificate must be taken back, okay, or revoked, which we call specifically. So these are the functions of the public key infrastructure. Okay, so let us take up one by one and discuss. So actually certificate, under this certification, revocation is an important concept. So because there are specific conditions when certificate need to be revoked there. So also there are many other cases so which we need to be described, which are important. So let us take up one by one and discuss. Before that, so a few more things to add. So encryption decryption process needs the decryption key to be backed up. Of course, so decryption key must be saved there. So if the user loses his decryption key, he will not be able to decrypt message that are communicated. Of course, so once you lose, it is as equal to as if you lose a bike key, you cannot drive it back, right? So that is of course the real context example you can choose there. So PK within an organization might hold the private keys in an escrow, so where it is securely backed up and made available to the owner of the private key under special circumstances. Okay, so maybe like you could have a spare key in your home, right? So if you lose the, that's why so more than 2 or 3 keys will be given for a particular vehicle, right? If you lose one key, you will have a backup key. Okay, so likewise within a PKI also within an organization, it may hold the private keys where it is securely backed up and made available to the owner in a special, under special circumstances. So then signing process doesn't need private key to be backed up. Okay, so that is one more criteria. So if the key is lost, then the user can contact so the certification authority or the public key infrastructure for a fresh signing key, and a new certificate containing the corresponding public key will be issued. Okay, so if you lose the key, then you can apply for one more certificate and you may get the certificate. Okay, so that is the context there. And also PKI also provides safe archival facility for all the issued certificates, right? Then one more situation is given there. So consider a situation where the signature on a will needs to be verified several years after the will was made. Okay, so this is something like a real situation. So where will be done for a property. Okay, so there is a possibility that the signer has lost his certificate or signer is no more. So what if the case? Okay, so certificate is lost or signer itself is no more. Then the archival facility of PKI would be of great help in these cases to revoke that particular what certificate, or that particular certificate itself is not there, or the person who has taken the certificate itself is no more. Then so the archival facility of the PKI would be of great help in these cases. Okay, so these are the additional issues so related to PKI. So maybe you could get a short note to write on a PKI. So then you might have to add all the following things. So please all of you give your attendance. So next section is the PK architectures. So like we have described the working modes in DES. So like we have PK architectures also. So you should associate the description with the diagram. So first is the PK with a single CA. So what is CA? So just now we have described. What is CA? What does CA represent? What is CA? CA stands for Certification Authority. Okay. So if you just observe in the diagram, so here we have a single CA, Certification Authority, and each arc represents a trust relationship. Okay. So each arc, so connected to you, right? So is a trust relationship. So maybe you may be termed as an user. So CA1 vouchers for U2's public key in the certificate. So if you consider U2, so CA vouchers means it issues something like that. So for U2's public key in the certificate, so CA has to handle tens of millions of users. So hence it is not scalable. So here just only, so U1, U2 till if you take 10, it is manageable. But if it is so tens and millions of users, then so much of the load is put on the only a single CA, right? So CA has to handle tens and millions of users. So it will not be scalable. So it will be much of burden on the certificate authority. If only a single authority, certificate authority remains. So it is not scalable and it is not a practical also. So it is not practical if the certificate require background verification. So that is very difficult to handle. So this is the architecture with a PKI with a single CA. Okay, and it is of the very first kind. So first type in the PK architectures where PKI with a single CA. So this is not suitable, not practical also, and not scalable also, right? You can just write the diagram and explain. And so here you can definitely write the heading disadvantages. And so just note down the third and fourth point under the heading disadvantages. Here CA has to handle tens and millions of users. So hence not scalable. So first disadvantage. And second one, it is not practical if the certificate requires background verification. So that is also not possible. So how long this certificate authority, single certificate authority, so we'll keep on doing background verification for millions of users, right? So that is not possible also, right? It is not feasible also. Okay, followed? Is it clear? Have you understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let us move on to next one. So second comes the hierarchical PKI architecture. So which eliminates the problems in the very first. So that is providing a single CA, certificate authority. So this gives a solution to the scalability problem. So we have looked at the scalability problem in the very first architecture there. So here one CA certifies other CAs hierarchically. So here you see, so one certification authority one, it is connected, or so it can certify other CA authorities like so CA2, CA3, CA4, and so on. And even CA2 can certify CA5 and user 1. Under CA5 you have user 2, user 3, etc. And CA3 can certify CA6, and CA6 will certify user 5, user 6, user 7, and CA4 will certify user 8 till user 11. Okay. So here each CA manages a limited number of users. So as you see in the diagram, so 4 users, CA4 is limited to certify 4 users, UA8 to UA11. And CA6 can certify only 3 users. So each CA manages a limited number of users. Okay. So here the very top node, so which is CA1, it is known as the trust anchor. Okay. So hence CA1 is known as the root certification authority. So here in the next point we have mentioned here. So root CA is known as the trust anchor. Okay, so these words you have to write in the explanation. So CA1 is known as the trust anchor whose public key is known to all the nodes in the tree. Okay, so because for the sake of communication, so all the nodes in the tree must know the public key of the trust anchor. Okay, and every node in the tree will know the root CS public key. So that's also very important, right? So hence this is a hierarchical, or even it is called as a tree-based public key infrastructure architecture. Okay, so this removes the scalability problem. How? Right? So if any new user is there, so if you just want to add a new user, see here, C8 is just managing only user 1. What you can do is, if some other user like user 12 will occur, you can just add user 12 under this CA2, because CA2 is only managing only a single user. So there will be much less so burden under CA2, or even you can just add so user 12 under CA3, because so CA3 is managing only user 4. So likewise, you can just manage the scalability issue by adding so users under the particular certification authority who has or who owns the less number of users. So hence this is a hierarchical PKI architecture. So which provides solution to the very first one. So with a single PKI, PKI with a single certification authority. So which has the problem of scalability. So I think it is less than 1 minute. So you can note down the diagram quickly. So other things we can continue in the next class.